Well, the internal Minister for Internal Security, who has actually just been replaced, he visited the site this morning where this tear gassing of students took place. Just to give you a wrap up of what happened yesterday, Uveka, students, young students from Langata Primary School in Nairobi protested against what they say is illegal land grabbing of their playground. They say that land property developers have seized the land illegally from the school, in particular their playground, erected a wall around it while the students were on their Christmas vacation, and when they came back they decided to hold a protest and push the wall down. Now, it was supposed to be the first day of school yesterday. School has already been postponed in Kenya for 2 weeks due to a teacher's strike, and obviously it turned very, very nasty. One police officer suspended, the officer in charge. We understand that the Law Society of Kenya is readying lawyers to, in fact, sue the police department and the police who tear gas these children. But very, very just terrible scenes coming from the school. Children covered in tear gas, crying, not being able to breathe. Some were hurt in the stampede. It wasn't only children in this protest as well. It was also civil rights demonstrators here in Kenya. And as I said, the Minister of Internal Security at the scene today trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, that was my next question, Robin, is, I mean, obviously these kids did not organize themselves. There had to be adults behind them, whether it was parents or teachers, like you say, civil rights activists in those investigations. Just tell us a bit more about probably whether they're being investigated for spurring them on to break down those walls, and then all of that leading to this tear gassing.
Yes, there were a couple of arrests of adults yesterday as well, at least one quite well-known civil rights demonstrator, and the headmaster of Langata Primary School was also taken in, questioned by police as to why he allowed his children to demonstrate. This isn't, however, the first time we've seen this sort of land grabbing here in Kenya. It's a really quite contentious issue. The Lands Department riddled with corruption over the years, going back to President Moi's time. National Lands Commission has been put together especially to investigate things like this, where land could have been allocated to more than one person or more than one business, and land grabbing continues from there. The National Lands Commission, though, when it investigated this particular case, because it hasn't just sprung up, it's been ongoing for a while, they said that from their primary investigations it looked like it did belong to the school. So exactly why and how this fence and wall was erected across the school playground during the summer holidays, no one can really understand, given the fact that it's still pending.
Robin, are Kenyan police usually heavy-handed with civilian protests, and especially protests involving young children like this? Is this the first time we've seen them behave this way or respond this way to such a protest?
Uveka, it's not the first time we've seen Kenyan police tear gassing protesters, and during this period of Kenya's history where indeed it is engaged in a war in Somalia, fighting insurgents, Al-Shabaab across the border in Somalia, we've heard a lot of talk about, you know, protests not being allowed because of security concerns that could be taken advantage of, etc. However, you know, very vibrant civil society. Whenever Kenyan police do respond to these sorts of protests, indeed when there are not children around, they usually do tear gas them, water cannon the protesters, things like that. But again, that's adults, it's full-grown adults, they can escape. The children obviously not expecting that, panic sets in, and what we saw from those visuals, when those smoke canisters went off, most people didn't know what to do. So not the best idea to perhaps throw several canisters of smoke into groups of children aged between 5 and 12 years old, and indeed that is why there has been so much outcry from the top levels of government down to ordinary people.
And very quickly for us, Robin, are authorities on alert for more protests following this one now in response to this?
I think they're always on alert, and I do understand that that there has been quite a bit of criticism from both ends. Obviously, people want to keep the message in mind, the fact that this land was allegedly grabbed, and just who is behind the reason behind this, that they wanted their playground back.